Good afternoon. This is Seraphin Henish, American in Exile. I've been away for a little bit. Been in exile from my normal exile. Today is July 19th, 2023. And I bring you greetings from Moscow. My colleague Alex Christoforo was in the same neighborhood here yesterday doing his video. And as it is, I'm in the center of the city near Dzerzhinsky Plaza, where the FSB keeps its headquarters. You can see it here. That's it coming out from behind the other building. And we have a little news today. You guys might like to see what this part of Moscow looks like a little more carefully. So we're looking here at the FSB headquarters, and this faces a square. I imagine it's got some name that I don't know, but this is the Lubyanka metro station, and right across from the FSB, formerly KGB offices, you see another building peeking out, and that is the Grand Children's Mall. I believe they call it the Centralnyditsky Magazine, the central shopping center or store for children. We're going to go in there and take a look, and I think it's worth it. And here, it's not about population control at all. It is about having a good place to raise your family. So, in the last couple of weeks, I had some adventures. I went to Istanbul and learned how to untangle a customs snag that I had been dealing with for about 300 days. From the last time that I was in the United States, I brought back quite a lot of advanced recording and computer equipment, and it got seized in the airport. So I will not go into the whole sordid tale, but I will give any person who wishes to come to Russia and bring high tech with them some very valuable advice. 1, do not talk too much. 2, if you do not speak Russian, do not try to speak Russian. Insist on an English interpreter so that actually knows the language, so you can talk to them. 3, do not use the word business in your discussion of the items that you are bringing and why. Say that they are for personal use. 4, if you are traveling with over $10,000 worth of equipment, even if it is used, declare it. If you're traveling by yourself, if you have somebody with you, split it, and neither of you will have to declare anything. Go through the green zone and do not say a word. Okay? 6, if you do get your stuff confiscated, you can get it back by offering to take it and leave the country. And that's why I went to Istanbul. See, after waiting for about 300 days to get an answer I could use, and also after spending about $4,000 to pay a fine for bringing things without declaring them properly, it was expensive. The upshot of the whole thing was, well, you can reset the whole thing just by getting the stuff out. And so that's why I went to Istanbul. I took my wife and my son, and we got everything. We went through a little bit of a process and run around at the airport. They were very helpful. The customs people were excellent in terms of resolving this matter. They got our stuff to us. We got on the plane. They supervised it. And in a few hours, we were on our way to sunny Istanbul to try to go on a little adventure. We stayed overnight in Istanbul for a night, split the items between our baggage, and came back the next day. I chose also a further step of coming back through at a different airport, though that really would not have made a difference unless the customs agents recognized me and decided to be difficult, which is possible in Russia. You never know. So I took an extra step of trying to ensure that my arrival would be as a stranger, aside from passport control. So we did it, and we came back, and everything was settled. So those are my tips for dealing with customs. Let me see. The next thing that we did is that we went to Kazakhstan, to Astana, and I'll have pictures in the video. Really remarkable place. We spent about 4 days there. Kazakhstan is very interesting because it was kind of an eye-opener, because it sort of showed me what, this will be a testy thing to say. Imagine if Russia and the United States really got along and really cooperated with each other. What would that look like? And so Kazakhstan is a pretty good example of that. The lingua franca on the road is Russian. The predominant religion is Islam. The road markings are American. The signage on the streets for most businesses is in English. And people are very friendly. And it's, you still have some of the kind of housing model that is similar to what you see here. Former Kazakhstan is a former Soviet republic, and the traditions of building and doing things like that apparently don't die easily. But the Kazakhstan apartments in Astana were a bit larger, at least the one we stayed in. The facade and construction techniques seem to be of better quality in some cases, though deeper inspection I found problems, and it was very nice. We did not succeed in getting my wife's visa, but we will go back, and next time the trip will be to Almaty, and hopefully we will succeed there. That's another thing, this was a very ironic event, because I am an American national living here. My wife is a Russian national. Our children have dual citizenship in both Russia and Federation and the United States. And so I thought it would be very simple to simply say, look, we haven't visited my family, and I want to go and take my wife to see my relatives and friends and places in the United States that are of interest and near and dear, so that she can see, because I've lived here with my wife for all these years, and she has never seen my country. Seems simple enough. And she's my wife. Seems simple enough. But the answer from the visa services was nope. And the reason why was because the agents are trained to assume that anybody that wants to go to the United States, even for a visit, intends to actually immigrate there. Now, you got to understand something. The United States reputation is certainly, it thinks of itself as the envy of the world, and it thinks that everybody wants to go there to live. My wife certainly does not want to live in the United States. She's married to me. I do these kind of news reports, and I report on all kinds of crazy stuff that happens in the States and in the West. And she reads it in the Russian language press from other people besides me. And she says, I want to visit your friends and your family and your priest and all that stuff, but I don't want to live there. This is crazy. It's bad for the kids. And it's open and shut for her. She has no intention of living in the States. So, and she said that on the interview, but it wasn't enough. I think this is ironic because the embassy was very, very strict on the matter of needing to prove that you're going back to where you came from. And so while this looks really good from the viewpoint of legal immigration status or non-immigrant status, like tourist visas and stuff like that, Look at our southern border in the United States that has, I believe, admitted now over 2 million people this year that have come across the border. Most of them have not been caught. And, so it's very bizarre. It's utter hypocrisy. Look, oh, we're making it so it's really difficult for people to come into the country. And yet we're not. So this is one of the real examples of duplicity that I experienced directly and had to work with it. So I wrote my representative. I'm a resident of the 3rd District in Colorado, 3rd Representative District. My representative is the inimitable Lauren Boebert, who is just fantastic. And her office has actually been helpful to me in securing documents and timelines needed for me to get Russian residency. And so I asked them again if they would help me with the situation with my wife for our next visa attempt. And they can't guarantee a positive result, but they could offer a way of getting, they gave me a list of information that I need to gather for her, and then also some forms to fill out for her and send back to the district when we're getting ready to go to our second interview, and that they would monitor the process from there. So this is extremely helpful. I have nothing to say bad about Lauren at all, or her people. And it's really nice because I don't get any flack from them about the fact that I live here. They're interested sometimes. I've offered to have a more direct connection with them to tell them about situations here, but that hasn't been taken up yet. It's understandable. I'm not anybody special. It would be nice, to get a voice of some real information into the American Congress, but the American Congress is so badly bought up in the myth about Ukraine right now that it's probably just going to get a lot of people aggravated. I don't know. Anyway, so those were the adventures to Astana and back, and now here. There's one other topic. This will be a rather short video that I wanted to touch on, and I think this is very important. As you guys know, I often report not so much on news stories, but on the issues concerning propaganda and opinion control and all that kind of stuff. And I found an article in Newsweek today. It's an opinion piece, and it's written by a lady who has a very, very far left opinion far left mindset from which she bases her writing. And she wrote a piece about the hyper-radicalization of the U.S. Supreme Court justices. And I think that this is extraordinary because all of the language that she used is the language that I use or that other people use in talking about the liberal left. Let's go down the line. That they are elitists, that they are funded by billionaires, that they live in their posh, jet-setting lifestyle, all of this kind of stuff. This is what this woman was writing about the 6-3 conservative majority Supreme Court that the United States has. And I found this very telling. And it is interesting because all of the tropes, all of the lines for her side are exactly the same as all of the lines on my side, on the conservative side. So let this be a warning. There was a really great interview, or actually a really great talk that Tucker Carlson gave. I will put links to it here. It's available through a YouTube channel called Grassroots America. And Tucker Carlson has, of course, had a lot of experience with this kind of thing. And he said this. He said, "You will not get persecuted. You will not get in trouble for lying. When you tell the truth, that is when all hell breaks loose. This is what will happen." And he, of course, used his own experience with great humor about getting fired from Fox News, and all of this kind of stuff. But he said, this is the deal. If you tell the truth, you're going to get fired. Now, all of the things that the press says, and he went on to say that he had been traveling out of the country for a while, and he came back to the U.S. and picked up a newspaper and started reading, and all of the headlines just got him furious. Said, how can people be at this level of insanity to be doing these kind of things? Sorry about that. And now this is also the inimitable Nikolsky Street that Alex Christoforo talked about. Very pretty. And he realized the same thing that I saw also. Or maybe I should say, I recognized the same thing that he talked about. If the media is making you mad when you read it and watch it, you need to ask yourself why. It's not the real story. What else is going on that you're not being told? Because whatever that is probably the thing, in Tucker's words, they are looting the country. And I guess I can't say anything better than that. It certainly provides a lot of smokescreen and cover for people to do things that nobody is paying attention to, that are far more boring than incendiary rhetoric. So this is the message. This is the lesson, I think, to learn. Even when you read and watch my pieces, I'm just a guy that's writing about some stuff. I have an opinion about it. I try to not get too incendiary about it anymore. I used to. Sometimes I still do. But that's the watchword. The world isn't really that exciting and our anger at, our yelling at the TV or yelling at the internet or yelling at the newspaper or whatever we read is what they want us to do. So don't do it. Read, investigate, be silent, be smart, be wise, because what is really going on is bigger. And one of the ways that we get taken advantage of is by being entertained by very clever entertainers. It's not very positive entertainment, but it is very effective at keeping us distracted, and that is the purpose. So with that, I guess we need to say one more story. Certainly this report's coming a day or so after the latest attack on the Kerch Bridge, the Crimean Bridge, which was a real tragedy, and I did have a reaction to that. There was a thing on Fox and Friends in the morning. Apparently, I think it's a morning program, and I saw it on the internet, and they had Brian Kilmeade and a couple of others, Lady Ainsley, I think it is. And I don't know the other gentleman. He wears glasses and he's a little bit older. And so they made mention of the fact that the Ukrainians attacked the Crimean Bridge, and that as the result of this attack, a child lost her parents, and she was injured herself and is in the hospital. Thank God it wasn't worse. Assuming that's all that happened, but that's still a lot. Well, Mr. Kilmeade went on to say, he appended his statement about this. Well, that's very tragic, but the Russians have been killing civilians all the time. And that was my kind of thing, like, that's where I got upset. Because, you see, the difference in tactics appears to be that, yeah, civilians are dying in Russian strikes. Certainly they are. It's really bad. But civilians are not the target in such strikes. This attack was a terrorist attack in its nature by going against civilians but it is also very often the modus operandi for Ukraine. And there are report after report after report, so many that talk about this. Donetsk civilians have been at the butt end of the shelling since 2014. Civilians, not military people, civilians, regular people, people like you see here on the street. Imagine somebody just attacking everybody that's here just because they're walking around. And that's been the Ukraine methodology for some reason, and I don't understand it. Maybe it's not true, because it's insane. It's absolutely insane. How do you win a group of people back by terrorizing them, or to beat them into submission? So there may be a hole in this story. There are certainly a lot of things that are unknown in any conflict, and this is very likely to be one of them. So we're going to have to watch this and see. Maybe it's just hyped rhetoric. But there certainly is a lot of evidence that shows that the strategy of Ukraine includes terrorizing civilians and attacking civilians constantly over and over again. And the Russians are trying not to do that. That's what I've got. That's what I see. It is evidenced over and over in the aggregate of reportings. You may find some outliers and some exceptions from here and there, but it is not the national strategy of Russia to attack civilians. Okay? And it does seem to be the national strategy, though rather not publicly assented by the Ukrainian government, to do exactly that, to attack civilians in Crimea, in Russia. And, you know, I ask myself, how is that supposed to make the Crimeans want to be part of Ukraine? You know, but then again, you know, and we'll end it with this. I guess this is brought to you by the same people, the same kind of people who want to use the Crimean Peninsula as a place to grow medical marijuana, as blessed by the head of the schismatic pseudo-Orthodox Church, Metropolitan Epiphanius, is working for the Green Patriarch. Maybe that's another reason why Black Bart is actually Green Bart. Maybe he's into some of this wacky weed too. You never know. God forgive me for saying it, but you never know these days. Very compromised person. So anyway, I guess we're ending it with a little bit of a zinger, but thank you for watching. Please stay tuned. There will be more videos. We'll see what happens about a regular schedule, but I wanted to just get in touch with everybody and let you know that all is well. And so this is Seraphim Hanish, American in Exile in Moscow, and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day.